Hello friends, Molly Ponpadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal this year is to bring to you 1,000 champions of change and community builders, and today I'm delighted to bring to you my dear friend, Joanne Weiland. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Molly, for inviting me.
Please let us know where you're dialing in from and talk to us about the work that you're currently doing in the world.
I'm actually calling in from Tampa, Florida, and it's very warm here right now, but I understand it is most parts of the world, so I think we're having a heat wave, but it's a beautiful place overall. And the work I'm bringing to the world is, I believe, in collaboration. I believe that if everybody would help each other, it would make the world so much better. And how they can do that in a nutshell is by everybody doing what they love and loving what they do and allowing other people to do the rest, and that's other parts that they love. And so I just feel like everybody would be a whole lot happier.
Tell me how you got into entrepreneurship and what is it about this initiative, this movement, this business that you've launched that gets you excited? Why are you so filled with passion when it comes to helping people get their voices heard and utilize their gifts and talents in an exponential way?
Well, I believe that so many people have such incredible ideas. And when I traveled before, I was in sales and marketing before I started this, and I worked with thousands of business owners around the globe. I was doing global alliances, and so many of them, the majority of them actually, Molly, had incredible ideas. But I found only about 5% of them implemented their ideas. So that really frustrated me because I thought all these great ideas are just falling away from, that being implemented. So what I did was dug deeper to find out how and why the people that did implemented. And so, of course, you had to look through a lot of scenarios and stuff, and I found that the average business owner worked in their business, not on their business. And I found that most of them went to like one networking meeting a month, maybe it was a chamber of commerce meeting or whatever, but even though they went to that meeting and you would say, maybe there was 50, 100 people there, they sat with the same 5 people. So they really didn't know that many people. They knew many times the same people when they even were outside of the office for years. And me, again, not realizing that everybody isn't like the other person, I thought everybody knew thousands of people. I remember when I got my first cell phone back in the early 90s, and I went to this cell phone store and asked what was wrong. I couldn't add another person. Back then they said, well, we never knew anybody that knew more than 800 people. So, I just thought everybody knew everybody and could easily connect and do global alliances. And that's actually was the answer. That the 5% that did implement their ideas, they didn't always know somebody, but they actually found somebody and hired somebody to help them implement the idea. Whether they needed a coach to keep them accountable, they hired a consultant to help them implement parts that they didn't know, or even that they even had teams, but maybe nobody on that team had that particular talent to be able to create this project or bring it to market. So I just thought, wow, why don't more people, do this? I thought there's got to be a resource out there for people to find different experts. I couldn't find one, so Norman Misappealed was my very first mentor, and he always said, if you find a need, fill it. So I felt like, okay, this is a need. People need to find other people to be able to hire them and implement their ideas with ease. So anyway, that's how this whole thing got started.
What's the name of the company?
Commanding View. Commanding View means that you're standing up on top of the mountain and you can see far and vast and you can see the big picture. So I wanted it to be Commanding View. Later, we created the portal to actually implement this to make it easy to find somebody within 5 minutes and hire them.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love your passion for it too. When in your life have you experienced wonderful mentorship, loving, kind, compassionate souls that have helped you to be the person that you are today? Can you share an anecdote or feature somebody in your life that's really made a difference in how you operate today?
Oh, yes. I've been very blessed to have several mentors. The one that came to mind was when I did start this, basically back when we were talking about the early 2000s, that I always thought it was so cool, kind of like I just shared a couple minutes ago, how I knew all these people. And he's like, Joe, it doesn't matter how many people know you. I mean, he said it doesn't matter how many people I know. It matters who knows me and what I can do for them. Well, Molly, that changed my whole world. It shook me to the core because I just always thought it was so perfect that I knew all these people and I could call them and possibly even sleep on their couch that night and they would be okay with it. I don't say I could move in with them, but maybe at least, if I was in trouble. Anyways, but when he said that, it doesn't matter how many people you know, how many people know you and what you can do for them. It was like, wow. So it just changed the whole dynamic of me thinking that you had to reach out to all these people and even, not just to kind of have them in your Rolodex, but to communicate with them on a level that they could understand what you can do for them. Because most people, as you know, Molly, they actually, when they're talking to you, they're thinking, what can you do for me? I mean, I don't even know if they know they're thinking that way consciously, but a lot of times that's what they're thinking. So if you're not stating in different ways of what you can do for them, they can't grasp it. So it kind of just, they don't remember you.
It's so true. I think about all the years in sales and business development and marketing in my career, and I just remember thinking about my old mentor. He used to always remind me of what the first goal of every first meeting was, and it was to leave them wanting more of you. And what he meant by that is more of your skill sets, more of your story, more of a deeper emotional connection, but really more of all of the things that you brought to the table that could support them on their journey. So whether it's a product, whether it's all that stuff, it's really just having people understand what you stand for, what you're great at, so that they can utilize you in the proper places to reach their goals. And so it really comes down to what you said. And for me, it was also very much about the emotional part, the emotional piece of connecting with someone so that they can count on you and feel safe and feel like, okay, you're listening to me, you hear my challenges, and you're going to find a way to help solve these challenges.
I totally agree. So many people talk about know, like, and trust nowadays. That's a big thing that people think, and that's why they're on social media telling you what they had for breakfast and everything, because they feel like you have to know them and like them. And in reality, with what we do anyway, they really just have to trust you, is basically what I think you just said. And because if they don't trust you, they're not going to hire you. And I even tell the executives and entrepreneurs that hire our experts, you're not going to probably like them because they're not going to be the same as you. They're not going to want to be your buddy. They're not going to want to hear everything about your brand, idea, because even though your idea is fabulous, but usually the expert that has a certain area of expertise, he or she wants to know about that particular part, and they can share with you what education they have to bring to the party, as well as what experiences. And the other part most people never realize is the connections, because if they have connections that make that implementation easier, or that they've actually lived through many horror stories of having the wrong connections and getting wrong information, that is so priceless. And again, you need to trust them that they can do that. But that's again why they don't spend so much time just worrying about what people know that you had for breakfast. Focus on what your qualities are, to solve that person's problems.
That's great. That's a great point. Well, when you think about community builders and champions of change and people in your life who's really creating some positive ripple effects in your community, in your world, what are some of the attributes that you most admire and are consistent in just how they operate, who they are?
That they're really looking for a win-win-win. And I know that's a cliche too, but I mean that they're really recognizing that there's so many parties involved in these types of collaborations. Like with us, we have a lot of affiliates, for an example. well, we look, is this going to benefit not just the organization itself, but also their members, as well as our members and us. So that's minimum of 4. Plus, there's usually other people involved that, are part of the equation to create the win-win-win, but meaning that it really will benefit each other, because let's face it, if it doesn't, most people lose interest really quickly. So I really think that number one thing is that they really are concerned about creating something that is beneficial for all parties.
That's great. When things have been challenging in your own life and you find it really disheartening, or just phases and moments in time when you just feel, wow, this is really tough. Is there a philosophy? Is there a quote? Any positive words of wisdom that help you to really regroup and come back and say, okay, everything's going to be okay. And then that way you can shift and move forward in a positive way.
It is that it is. It is that it is, I tell myself. And recognizing that it is that it is, meaning this is perfect. This is where I'm supposed to be right now. Maybe it doesn't make any sense right now. Maybe I'm actually thinking this is crazy, that I thought it would be totally this other way. But it is that it is, and this is where I'm supposed to be. And to learn from that instead of getting irritated. So I feel like with myself, with that question, that it's okay to get down, Molly, but it's not okay to stay down. One time somebody told me that I reminded them of Bozo the Clown, that kind of punching bag that you punch and it has sand in the bottom and it keeps coming up. And at first I thought he was insulting me. And then I realized, no, that is such a compliment, because I might keep getting punched down by different people not understanding what I'm trying to do, or understanding my philosophy or whatever. But the good thing is I might get punched down, but I keep getting back up. So I really think that's the whole key. It's fine to, we're all emotional beings, to have different emotions, but just don't keep wallowing in it, and just realize, what was I supposed to learn from this? And we don't always know right away what we're supposed to learn from that experience, but it's part of the whole way of learning.
Mm-hmm. So what would a better world look like through your eyes?
With everybody doing what they loved and loved what they're doing, because of the fact that I just feel like when I do what I love, I know I lose track of time. I can be, my family and friends all think I'm a workaholic. I don't really think I'm a workaholic. I think it's just because when I'm doing what I love, I don't even feel like I'm working. So I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going to work now, And so I feel like when people really grasp that and understand that they really can, but most of the time, Molly, they don't, just because they feel like, they'd have to start over. But, the average person actually has 3 to 4 different careers or more. So it's okay. So I just would like to encourage people that if you're not doing what you love, at least dabble in it and try it and see how you feel, because I really think that you would be a lot happier. And then, I don't know, it just seems like everything then comes together when you are in a different mindset.
Yeah, I can definitely relate in terms of the work that we do now. I just get up every morning and I keep thinking, who are we going to touch today? Who are we going to help uncover their greatest gifts and talents? And how are they going to create this beautiful life that's filled with joy and a sense of purpose? And you just don't want to not do this work, So we're always working, but we're playing in this beautiful playground. It's really amazing to have this opportunity. It's a privilege, really. Okay, so could you share with our community 1 or 2 ways in which we can best support you right now? How can we support you?
Well, I don't know if just to support me, but to support the community at large. I would say just feel free to use Link to Expert anytime you want to learn something. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of articles, blogs, videos, podcasts that are free, and it's for you to learn from. And then, if you need to go further and maybe buy their product or their book, that's fine too, or maybe even hire that person, because I feel like, it's a guarantee for you to grow in your life if you learn about what you want to do. And I really think it's important to learn. Like, for an example, when I was creating the web portal, I took a class at USF, a local University of South Florida, for 3 months. And I thought, oh, cool, I can create a website, kind of like Victor's really talented at, which I am not. And it looked like a second grader created it. So what I realized, though, it was important for me to learn, because then when I did hire the programmers in the team, I could communicate with them. It wasn't necessary that I knew how to make it look great or function, because that was the other part. The functioning is a lot harder than you think when you have 1,000 moving parts behind a web portal. So I just would encourage people to learn, but don't always think that you have to be the one to implement that, because of the fact that sometimes in that case, for an example, it would have taken me years to learn it. By that time, something else would have came up. So I would just recommend people, if that is your goal, your mission, your passion, your purpose, what everybody calls it, something different, fine. But if it's not, consider, delegating it to somebody else, because Molly, I think that would support me as well as them, because of the fact that I feel like, getting back to the ideas, implementing your ideas, the faster and easier we do it, we can implement those ideas. And then as we have more ideas, usually it can build upon that. But a lot of times you have to have that foundation laid before you can implement your other ideas. I know with us, that is so true. So I guess to support me would be to support all of us, because of the fact that I feel like it really creates a win-win-win, because sometimes they might hire you and you hire them. That happens with our members quite often, because of the fact everybody's an expert at something, but nobody's an expert at everything.
Right. Beautifully stated. Okay, what's the best way to reach you or learn more about your organization as a whole and this beautiful portal that you built?
Well, I would recommend they go to www.link.expert.com. That's linked to expert, and they can gladly call the office too at 727-791-7338. That's 727-791-7338. And they can just even send us an email at info@linktoexpert.com.
That's great. Thank you again so much. Thanks for being in our life. Thanks so much for all that you're doing. I love that you're supporting all these brilliant experts who want to just share their gifts, really, and make a living doing what they love. So appreciate
it. And thank you, Molly. You and Victor have done an amazing job at creating a community as well, because I really do believe that's where the future is. Integrating community. We call ours a collaborative cloud community, because there are people all over the world, but we're all there for each other. I was just talking to a gentleman from Alaska a couple minutes ago, and, one of our experts, and so he's actually doing a retreat teaching people, on a fun trip to Alaska. So, we do it in all unique different ways, but again, it's, just doing what you love.
Right. Well, thank you for loving what you do. For those that are watching, please remember to nominate yourself and someone in your community that's making a huge difference. Please visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so very much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Molly.